the root causes of human rights abuses and ensure that this is done with a whole-of-society approach, drawing upon the collective strength of the entire multilateral system. And finally, we must continue to build synergy between Geneva and New York through greater collaborative action and political will. Only together can we combat the challenges that we face. After all is said and done, the core task of the Council as part of the greater United Nations is to promote the fundamental principles of human dignity. We can do no less, and I wish you every success for today's deliberations. I thank you.
Muchas gracias. A continuación escucharemos un mensaje de video del señor Antonio Guterres, secretario general de las Naciones Unidas.
Distinguished President of the Human Rights Council, Madam High Commissioner, Excellencies. It is my privilege to send greetings to the Human Rights Council as you convene for your 50th session. The Human Rights Council is the fulcrum for international dialogue and cooperation to advance all human rights. Your Universal Periodic Review has presented for the first time a picture of the global state of human rights. Your special procedures have substantially deepened our understanding of and engagement on the full spectrum of human rights concerns, spanning civil, cultural, economic, political, and social rights. Your special sessions have sounded the alarm to force global attention on deteriorating situations demanding urgent responses. And your commissions of inquiries and fact-finding missions have contributed to keeping the imperative of accountability alive and ensuring that even the most protracted crises remain in focus. Your resolutions in Geneva have often catalyzed debates in the Security Council and General Assembly in New York, strengthening the links between peace and security, development, and human rights. Finally, the Human Rights Council has amplified the voices of civil society, the backbone of human rights work. Excellencies, our world is in peril from widespread conflict, including the war in Ukraine in all its dimensions, to deepening divisions, eroding trust, escalating inequalities, surging humanitarian needs, and the ever-worsening climate crisis. Today, more than ever, we need a stronger multilateral system anchored in human rights in all its diversity and universality. That is a driving force for our common agenda, and this Council will play a critical role in making it a reality. From protecting civic space and promoting good governance, advancing gender equality, and addressing racial and other forms of discrimination, to tackling climate change, rescuing the Sustainable Development Goals, and providing early warnings and preventing conflicts. I count on you to act with ambition, and you can count on me to fully support your work. I also want to acknowledge the tireless work of the Council Secretariat and call on Member States to ensure that they, along with the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, have the resources and support they need to deliver on the ever-expanding demands placed on them. Together we can, and we will, further strengthen our links and synergies between Geneva and New York and ensure that human rights are recognized as central to resolving our most pressing challenges, as outlined in my call to action for human rights. In closing, I want to express my profound gratitude to Michelle Bachelet for her life of selfless service in defense of human rights for everyone, everywhere. In an extremely challenging political context, she stood up and spoke out to give voice to the voiceless. Thank you for your dedication and determination, your counsel and wisdom, and for always making sure that human rights remain where they belong, at the very center of our work. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señor secretario general. Tiene la palabra la señora Michelle Bachelet, alta comisionada de las Naciones Unidas para los Derechos Humanos. Tiene la palabra.
You have the floor.
Gracias. Distinguished President of the 76th session of the General Assembly, Mr. Abdulla Shahid, Distinguished President of the Human Rights Council, Ambassador Federico Villegas, Excellencies, dear Estela, Carlotto, dear panelists, colleagues, and friends. I'm honored to be here today to mark the 50th regular session of the Human Rights Council. As we speak, the world continues to be thrust ever deeper into crisis, and intensifying conflict, profound inequalities, and climate change as overhanging threat to our very existence. More than ever, the work of this Council is pivotal. It is urgent. It is a privilege to support it and to be part of it. In just 16 years, the Council has grown into a forum that addresses virtually every human rights issue through open, honest, and transparent dialogue. Its activities have increased exponentially. The Council has held 49 regular sessions, 34 special sessions, and 7 urgent debates. It has adopted 1,372 resolutions. The importance of the Council within the United Nations architecture is markedly clear. Each session, the Council hears from a growing diversity of voices, a trend we must continue. Increased participation by small island developing states and developing countries, for example, including in the roles of president or vice president, is representative of the meaningful multilateralism that this Council stands for. Excellencies, the COVID-19 pandemic has posed challenges many of us have never seen in our lifetimes. The Council has stood up to the test, keeping human rights on the world's agenda and maintaining its ability to respond to urgent issues. In the last more than 2 years, members maintain agility and responsiveness to enhance virtual and hybrid modes, which work during the pandemic demanded. Today, panel discussions benefit from remote participation of experts from all over the world, allowing for even stronger and more informed conversations on some of the most crucial issues of our time. I also want to make specific mention of the special procedures, which I consider to be a central cog in the UN's human rights machinery. In the past 10 years, the Council has created 10 new special procedure mandates, and I'm pleased to see the number of states extending invitations to them has increased at the same time. I'm also happy to know that gender balance has been achieved among mandate holders. Currently, half are women. As we mark the 50th session of the Council, the Universal Periodic Review also deserves mention. All 193 member states have voluntarily participated in its 3 cycles, making it the best possible entry point into the consideration of human rights worldwide. All countries, whether small or large, or economically strong or weak, receive the same level of attention and scrutiny. The UPR is a powerful and irreplaceable mechanism, and I hope it will only continue to grow in importance. Excellencies, far too often, commentators will debate whether the Council should focus its attention on specific world regions or on civil and political rather than economical, social, and cultural rights, or vice versa. I welcome and myself stand by the position of a growing number that these are sterile discussions, because by their very nature, human rights are universal. No human rights violation should be left aside, and all situations considered by the human rights mechanism of the Council should warrant attention by the international community. Today, let us aim to ensure we remain relevant in our ever-changing world. Let us continue to treat all matters with equal importance, whether it is gender equality, the impact of new technologies on human rights, the fight against corruption, the right to food or health care, or the issues faced unaccompanied migrant children. Our responsibility to take time to consider these issues with urgency and with effectiveness. My office, particularly the Council Secretariat, will continue to provide dedicated support to the Council and its subsidiary bodies. However, there is a limit to what can be absorbed. The commitment made by almost all states in placing human rights at the forefront of the UN activities need to also be matched with funding and resources. Today, as we celebrate all of the achievement that the Council has made, we call on you for your support. The Human Rights Council has played an integral role in responding to and preventing further human rights violations around the world. Let us continue its powerful legacy. I thank you.
Muchas gracias, Alta
Thank you very
Comisionada.
much, High
A
Commissioner.
continuación, escucharemos
We will
una
now
declaración en video de la señora
a video
Estela
statement from
Carlotto,
Ms. Estela
presidenta
Carlotto,
de la
the President
Asociación
of
de
the
Abuelas de
Association
Plaza
of
de
the
Mayo,
Grandmothers of the
y
Plaza de
permítanme una pequeña
And allow
digresión.
me a small
Estela Carlotto
digression.
es
Estela
un símbolo
Carlotto
de la
is a
lucha por los
symbol
derechos humanos en la
of the fight for
Argentina
human
y
rights
en
in
muchas partes
Argentina
del mundo.
and in many parts of the world.
Solía venir a la antigua
She used to
Comisión de
come to the
Derechos
former
Humanos junto
Commission
con
on
otras
Human
abuelas
Rights with other
para
grandmothers
denunciar las
to
atrocidades
speak
de la
out
dictadura
about the
militar que
atrocities
gobernaba
of the
mi
military
país.
dictatorship that governed my
En ese
country.
entonces la delegación argentina buscaba por
Argentina
todos los medios posibles
tried
impedir su
their
participación.
utmost to prevent her from
Hoy tiene
participating.
91 años
Now she's 91 years of
y es
age,
invitada de honor a
and
este evento.
she's a guest of
Su
honor
presencia
to this
representa no
event.
solo la evolución de
Her
una sociedad,
presence goes
sino
to
también de
show
un sistema
how
que
much
reconoce en la
society
sociedad
has
civil
changed,
y en los
but
defensores de
also
derechos humanos
how there's been
un socio
changed to a system that
indispensable en la
recognizes
promoción y
civil
protección de
society
los
and
derechos
human rights
humanos.
defenders as indispensable partners to the promotion and protection of human rights. Estela, please.
Las abuelas de Plaza de Mayo celebramos
Grandmothers
que el
of the
Consejo
Plaza
de
de
Derechos
Mayo
Humanos de Naciones Unidas
Are
esté
pleased that the Human
realizando su
Rights
sesión
Council
número
of the United
50.
Nations is holding its
Para
50th
nosotras es
session.
muy importante
For us,
porque el
this is
sistema
extremely
universal
important
nos dio
because the
acogida
universal
para dar
system
visibilidad a
welcomed
lo que
us
estaba
and
ocurriendo en
allowed us
nuestro
to
país. Que
speak
una
out about
dictadura
what was
feroz
happening in our
estaba
country.
avasallando los derechos humanos
A
de gran
cruel
parte de la población.
dictatorship was riding
El
roughshod
sistema
over the
universal
human rights of a
de
large
protección
part
de
of
los
the
derechos
population.
humanos fue muy
The universal
importante
system
para
of protection
víctimas
for
y
human rights
familiares
was
y lo seguirá
fundamental for
siendo.
victims and for family members and will
A mí
continue to be so.
personalmente, junto a
On a
otras
personal
abuelas,
note, along with other
periódicamente
grandmothers,
hemos ido al Consejo a denunciar
regularly
ante la
went
comunidad
to the Commission
internacional
to speak
lo que
out
estaba
before
pasando
the
en mi
international
país.
community about what was
Recuerdo
happening in our
varias
country.
personas que ayudaron a las
I
abuelas
remember a number
y a
of
las
people that
madres de
helped
Plaza de Mayo
the
para que
grandmothers and the
pudieran
mothers of the
participar en
Plaza de
las
Mayo
reuniones del
so that we could
Consejo
take part in the
cuando los
meetings of the
representantes
Commission
del gobierno
when
dictatorial
representatives of the
no les
dictatorial government
permitían
did not allow
hablar
us
hasta
to speak
desde la
from
banca de
Argentina.
Argentina. Esas organizaciones de la
These
sociedad
civil
civil
society
que las
organizations
ayudaron,
that helped them
voy a, de
are,
esas
let
voy
me
a
name a
nombrar
few,
algunas: Amnistía Internacional,
Amnesty
Cruz Roja
International,
Internacional,
International Red
y
Cross,
bueno, también
and then
otras
there
que
are
estarán
others
en la memoria
that
de nuestra búsqueda de los nietos.
will go down in history
Logramos,
as part of
junto
the
a
search for
víctimas y
our
familiares de
grandchildren.
Argentina y de otros países de
Along with
Latinoamérica,
victims and
que en
family members in
1980,
Argentina,
cuando todavía
we
sufríamos
and other
dictaduras,
countries
la entonces
of Latin
Comisión de
America,
Derechos Humanos creara el grupo de trabajo
when in
sobre
1980 we were still
desapariciones
suffering from
forzadas e
dictatorships, the
involuntarias.
former Commission
Luego,
on Human Rights created
ya
a working
recuperada
group
la
on
democracia en
enforced
mi
and
país,
involuntary disappearances.
volvimos a Naciones
And
Unidas
then,
para
once
trabajar
democracy had
en la
been restored to
redacción
my
de la
country, we went
Convención
back to the United
por los
Nations to
derechos
work
del
on
niño
drafting the
para
Convention on the Rights of the
seguramente y
Child
asegurarnos
to
que el
ensure
derecho a
that
la
the right
identidad iba a
to
estar
identity
amparada
needed
por
to be
esa convención
would be
tan
enshrined
importante.
forevermore in a
También
convention.
volvimos junto a las madres de Plaza de Mayo y
Along with the
familiares
mothers of
a
the Plaza de
trabajar en
Mayo
la
and family
convención
members, we also
sobre
came
desaparición
back to
forzada
work on the
en su
Convention on
redacción y en
Enforced
su firma,
Disappearances,
que finalmente
in
se
drafting this
firmó
convention
en
and
el
in
año
signing it, which
2006.
finally
Hoy
came to
continuamos
pass
trabajando
in 2006.
para que esta convención
We
sea
continue
ratificada
to conduct
por la mayor
advocacy
cantidad
work
de
to ensure that
países.
this convention be ratified by as
hecho,
many countries as
Expertos
possible.
argentinos,
Indeed,
amigos de las abuelas,
Argentinian
hoy
experts and friends
forman
of the
y
grandmothers
son parte del
are now
grupo
a
de
part of the
trabajo del
working
Comité
group
contra
and the Committee Against
Desapariciones
Enforced
Forzadas.
Disappearances.
El proceso de memoria,
The
verdad y
process
justicia de
of memory,
Argentina,
truth
que
and
nos
justice in
permitió
Argentina
como sociedad
that
enfrentar
allowed us
a
as a
esta trágica
society
historia,
to face up to this
juzgando a
tragic
los genocidas,
history,
buscando todo
judging
al Estado
genocides and
junto
striving
a
to
nosotros,
find
a estos bebés y niños
along the
robados,
state
para
children
reparar de
and
alguna
babies who
manera
had
estos
been robbed.
hechos terribles
This with a view to
para nuestra
trying
historia y
to
decir
provide some
nunca
kind
más
of remedy
a un Estado
to the
terrorista.
horrific events
Hoy,
that occurred in our history,
La presidenta del
and it's
Consejo
important to say
de
never
Derechos
again
Humanos
to a terrorist state.
está ejercido por
The fact that
un
the
compatriota
Human Rights
nuestro
Council
es un orgullo
is
y una
presided
reparación para el
by
movimiento de
a
derechos
fellow
humanos de
countryman
mi
is
país.
a great source of pride
Ojalá
for me and a
este
sign of the
Consejo,
healing that
los
is going
Estados
on
miembros
as part of the
puedan
human
trabajar
rights movement in our country. I hope
mancomunadamente
that this council
para
and the
que
member
todas